Hi everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to the CBiz Benefits channel. Today we got a very special guest with us, my friend Nate Randall. He's a former director of HR from Tesla, and let's give him a call and see if he picks up.
This is Nate.
Hey Nate, this is Xavier. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. I'm really excited about this this call, and let's just jump right in. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in HR.
Yeah. So HR, it was completely by chance. I think that's how a lot of people sort of fall into it. I had an entry level job putting files in alphabetical order at a retirement consulting firm. From there, sort of worked my way up and learned what I could about defined contribution consulting, and at one point decided that I would rather be on the inside of the HR team and be able to really impact a specific set of employees across a wide set of benefits, and that's how I sort of got my entry into the space, and that job was at Washington Mutual, where I really cut my teeth and learned everything I could about as many benefits as possible, and that's really where I would say I fell in love with the concept of helping people, and that benefits should truly be a benefit.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're pretty passionate about HR and helping people. Is that would you say one of the things that really drives you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's definitely been a big part of it. I've really connected with the fact that down to an individual level, you're able to impact and help people save and retire and have babies and get the medical care they need and lead fulfilling lives and all those sorts of things. We play a real role in that. I think that's a huge part of it. I think the other part of it is just a natural desire to change and to do things differently and to look for better ways to solve problems. And within HR and specifically benefits, it's a time of huge change and disruption with technology and innovation. And so that's been helpful too, and that there's just a lot of opportunity for somebody who likes to solve problems and think differently. There's a whole plethora of things to get engaged in and keep you engaged and excited.
Nate, some of our listeners might not be familiar with Fortune 500 type perks or benefits. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've seen in the marketplace as far as benefits?
I think there's a huge push to repurpose or to find the value in the extreme amount of money that companies spend on employee benefits. And, it's built over the years, and there's been efforts to control those costs, but it really is a huge cost when you take into account total rewards and total compensation. So one of the biggest trends I see is employers trying to figure out ways to get flexible with that money that they spend on employees or give to employees for benefits and try to generate more recognition of value. So what do I mean by that? So I mean, currently, if you just give employees great benefits, they don't always recognize the equivalent dollar for dollar value that you're providing to them. But there are schemes out there and people who are working really hard and quite a few companies now who have implemented structures where employees are making the choices of what they want their benefits to be structured like. So rather than the company choosing, the company curates some best practice solutions, and the employee really patches together what's important to them given where they're at in their life cycle. So maybe I'm nearing retirement. I'm super interested in putting as much money away as I can for retirement. Maybe I'm about to have a baby and I realize that I need some great medical coverage and I need to start saving for college now, so I can dictate and move that. So one of the big trends is definitely more freedom for employees, letting them choose. If you think of like a Amazon style marketplace, really giving people the ability to custom tailor their solutions. And back to the reason for that, what that generally does is if you buy something yourself, you see value in it because you're making the decision. Versus if you're given something as a gift, you don't really many times connect the value directly.
Do you think this is a fad, or do you think that this is going to be, the future trends, or do you think there's going to be variations of this?
I think there's going to be variations of it and expansion of it, and I think that also regulation needs to catch up to the trend. So, it's interesting. We're talking about private exchanges here, which have been, despite the news on the public exchange side, the private exchange side has been very successful, especially when you look at it from the employee's perspective. More choice is always better. People like to be able to choose what they want. So I think, that piece is, in my opinion, you see, companies like Starbucks going that direction. That's a huge move. And I think it's hard to take away choice once you've given it to employees. So I do think that piece is here to stay. I think regulation needs to catch up to make it easier for employers like Starbucks or whomever else to put in more options and more types of benefits into that structure. So, maybe allowing people to spend some of the extra money they have left over towards retirement instead of just throwing it away, or towards a gym membership, or towards, you could think of 1,000 things. So I think that really this is just the tip of the iceberg, and it becomes a massive marketplace that that hopefully becomes smart as well.
Nate, you've worked for and consulted for some of the more iconic companies in the world. Can you tell us about some of the more exciting benefit programs you've worked on?
There's definitely a lot of exciting projects I've worked on, a lot of different things I've done in my career, and some the impacts have been positive in what we expected, and others, sometimes you do something that's negative. I think that many companies can relate to sort of the health wellness trend, and the desire inherently, I think, was to do good and to help people get well. But sometimes when you roll out a program aimed at people's health, there might be a backlash. There might be something negative that comes out of it. I think one of the more interesting things and trends that I see generally is just that tie-in of the entire culture and trying to make benefits be more inclusive of what is considered a benefit rather than siloed. So, Airbnb just announced that their director of benefits or people operations has changed the title to employee experience. And I think that's one of the more innovative changes that's happened over the last 4 or 5 years, is a recognition that what could be considered a benefit is pretty wide and broad. And one of the most exciting things that I was involved in was taking that approach and really expanding the net of benefits to include things that all do tie together. So you've got your, medical, dental, vision, retirement, life insurance, all of that is very core. But then what if you throw into it food service and how you're thinking about the foods that you're bringing into the office space or the factory? What if you throw into it some of the other services like maybe your front desk staff of people who are greeting your employees every day, and you really think about what's the experience of an employee and their family from the time they enter the building to the time they leave the building to the things they're doing on the weekend, and how can you make that experience the best that it can be. So I think there's definitely expanded role that benefits people can take in this new world, and those are exciting projects to work on because you're really thinking through how the culture aligns to what the company does and how it communicates and what benefits and perks and other features are offered.
Wow, those are some pretty exciting programs. Thanks for sharing. As far as major medical trends, what have you seen?
Yeah, I think the trend of high deductible health plans is definitely here to stay, and I call it a trend, but really 10 plus years ago, there were companies embracing high deductible health plans. So, in my vision, if a company does not at least offer a high deductible health plan option, of which that option is, quite frankly, the best choice for many of their employees, not all. But if they don't even offer that choice, then I think it's time for them to take a good look at their benefit. I do also think that, narrowing networks or providing information about doctors and their quality and costs and all of those sorts of things are here to stay. So I think we're looking at a world that's going to be much more data, much smarter, and better tools so that people can really navigate the health system on their own and get the best bang for the buck.
Nate, I know you recently left Tesla. I'm just curious, like everybody else, what prompted the change?
The move was prompted by really a desire to step back and think about, is there a way that I could continue to innovate, but across an even broader population? So, we did amazing things at Tesla. The team there are filled with rock stars and superstars. And I wanted to see if there was a way that I could help other organizations and just continue to engage in fun and exciting projects. So to what I'm doing today, that's been what I'm up to. I've been engaging with entrepreneurs, founders, and startups who are doing really exciting things in the benefits space, trying to help them craft their products, craft their approach to the market, and ultimately get traction and make real change. And then also have been partnering with employer groups who are interested in doing something outside of the box and really consulting with them on their strategy, on their cost structure, all of your sort of traditional benefits consulting work, just delivered in a non-traditional way, and really trying to think through how to help these organizations create the best structure to attract amazing employees and really do good by the families that they serve.
That's awesome, Nate. Thanks for sharing that. So does that tie into the employee benefit experience and company reducing costs?
It's absolutely. I mean, I would say it's everything. So it's, cost is always a consideration. There's not many companies this day who are really trying to slash their benefits costs, but they're trying to get more value out of what they do spend and control the rise. That sort of seems to be the trend. But absolutely, I think, layered over everything I try to think about is the employee experience, because I found that you can have a true win-win. So you can have a structure where the employee experience is much better than it was before you put in this new structure, and it controls costs, and it's a real win-win where employees are getting more value out of what you've done, and you're really creating a structure where that experience for the employee and the family is something that's tangible, and it's not just the employees or the employer is providing benefit.
Yeah. So Nate, tell us, what does attract and retain top talent?
Yeah, I think it's the story more than it is the actual tangible benefits. So when you think in a benefits silo, you have to make sure that you have competitive, good benefits. I would also argue that you should try to differentiate those benefits significantly so that it reflects your culture. But at the end of the day, they just have to be there. I don't think benefits, quite honestly, are attracting anyone, the majority of people. But what does attract people are stories. And how does the story and the mission and the culture of the company align with everything you're doing? And that's where things get hung up. We have companies that have a mission statement on the wall when you enter their head office, but when you actually experience going through the interview process, looking at their benefits, taking a job offer, starting on your first day, going through onboarding, all the way to how they offboard their employees and treat the families, it's not aligned at all with the mission and drive of that company. So I think the real key is to clearly define what are we as a company, how do we want to treat people, how do we want to be seen, what type of people do we want, and create that lifestyle brand, if you will, around your company, and then you're going to go out into the market and attract the types of people who want that lifestyle. I've always said that Washington Mutual had one of the best lifestyles and cultures that I've ever experienced, Safeway as well, and Tesla as well, and all three are drastically different, right? Mm-hmm. I moved on from one for the other because at that point in my life I wanted a different lifestyle. Every company out there has a lifestyle connected to it. They just might not know it, and they might not have controlled it and created it consciously. So I think, thinking through that employee experience, it really does get you to a place where you're being consistent with what you are as a company. You're attracting the talent consciously that you want, and you're rewarding them in a way that's consistent with the brand and what they've sort of bought into, which keeps them a little bit longer. I think today we have to acknowledge that you're not going to keep people most likely for 20 or 30 years. And so you do want to keep them as long as you can, being productive and being sort of hooked into your brand. And then when they go, it's just as important to have an experience leaving the company that's wonderful, so that they tell people, so that they want to come back, so that that experience is a positive one, and you can continue the cycle of recruiting new talent.
Nate, give me an example of a company's culture on a day-to-day basis.
Sure, yeah. So just generally, many of the companies in the Valley have similar sort of lifestyle attraction, right? You're gonna work hard on meaningful work that's changing an industry. That's kind of the brand that a lot of these companies have. Google, Apple, Tesla, Square. All these companies are really trying to do new and exciting things, and so they're gonna be attracting those type of people. The connection that I'm trying to make is saying, okay, so you've got your external lifestyle and you're even attracting the right talent or the right type of people because you've created that external brand. But then you're delivering, let's say, your medical plan in the most traditional, traditional, I guess is the right word to use, traditional and boring way possible that doesn't look like your brand at all. So the connection I'm trying to make with many of the companies that I'm working with is let's create something that works for everybody. And then when they come in the door, they go, yeah, I've bought into the lifestyle of working at a Tesla, for example, or I bought into the lifestyle of working at a Safeway, and the impacts I can have there are meaningful to me. And on my first day, when I see my benefit package or I make my choices, that experience is consistent with what I thought it should be. I'm not, if I'm working at a high technology firm, I'm not logging into some system that looks like it was built in 1992 and has never been updated.
This is some great examples of company culture. Now, let's talk about financial well-being and how that impacts company culture.
Yeah, I think some of the challenges there that maybe I'll start with what hasn't been met is just there's not enough money to go around for many Americans. And I think we have this disconnect between the value we offer people in salary and benefits and what they really need in everyday life. And there are, studies out there where the majority of Americans couldn't come up with $1,000 if they had to for an emergency. Yet we're paying, tens of thousands of dollars for their medical plan. We're telling them that they need to put money into a 401k so they can get a match. So our incentives are kind of not aligned with what the average American really needs. So one of the more creative things I've seen done lately are trying to free up some of those funds and say, you know what, your most pressing issue, everybody needs to save for retirement, but your most pressing issue today is that you have huge student loans and you're having trouble making those payments. So guess what? Instead of the only way you can get a match into your 401k is by contributing money to your 401k, you can get matched in your student loan payment, right? It's still money that the company was going to spend if you save for your retirement, but we're recognizing that your most important issue today is not retirement. I'm also seeing a lot of work being done that's really, really good stuff on employers trying to use their power to help people with short-term loans and help them get out of the cycle of the sort of egregious interest rate payday loans. So there are companies out there who are offering their employees, small short-term loans for emergencies. A transmission breaks on their car and they can't get to work, whatever it might be, and the interest rates are extremely low, whereas they would have gone to the 23% payday lender before. So I think when we think about financial wellness, sometimes we think about these huge efforts that are very far off into the future, and we need to save and we need to plan and we need to budget and all those things, and yes, we do. But today there's an immediate need that needs to be met, and there's some creative companies out there meeting those needs.
Wow, I love that. Where employees get to choose where their money goes on a day-to-day basis, which makes me think, what about voluntary benefits?
Yeah, definitely. There's more and more companies where it comes up in the conversation, things like a hospital indemnity because we offer a high deductible health plan, right? How do we help employees fill those gaps? I think what I'm most excited about and looking forward to is as all of this converges and as we sort of realize that, hey, we really do sort of have one pot of money that we're giving employees in compensation and benefits, and we really do have dozens and dozens of solutions for their everyday lives, and we have thousands of individuals and situations that are all different. The exciting thing that I'm looking forward to is technology catching up to that, so that just like my Amazon experience today, when I go onto Amazon looking for a book, I don't have to search through all 10,000 books in alphabetical order or anything like that. It curates for me based on what it knows about me and people like me in my situation, what would be right for me. So, benefits and benefits technology is not quite there yet, but how exciting is it going to be when you can get a huge amount of value out of the money your employer gives you towards benefits and a huge amount of flexibility that's completely customized and made an easy and, I dare say, delightful experience. That's going to be exciting.
Yeah. So have you not seen that with any current vendors doing the what we call decision support?
I've seen touches of it. I've seen pieces where vendors are pulling in medical claims to help inform what type of medical plan you might have and things like that. But again, that's very siloed. We know that we have these huge lives with so many different things. I really am looking forward to the convergence, which I haven't seen, of sort of everything that you deal with in your life and all the data we have available to really inform what's the best way to structure your compensation and benefits. I mean, you could even envision a world where the employee, to some extent, is making choices about how they want their compensation and benefits as one package. So, one person might say, hey, today we fight for the biggest salary we can get, let's face it, right? Everybody asks for more, the company offers a little bit less, and you settle. But you could envision a world where somebody would say, I'll take that 20 grand in a retirement account instead of the extra on my salary or something like that. That would be great.
Hey, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. This has been great. It's been enlightening. Definitely learned a lot.
I hope you have a good rest of your day, and we'll be chatting soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for us. Thanks so much for tuning in. Oh, thanks.